Welcome to SVG TV News for Monday, March 20th, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. President of the Public Service Union, Errol Boucher, says the government is morally wrong to go ahead with an appeal of the High Court ruling in the vaccine mandate case handed down by Justice Esco Henry on Monday, March 13, 2023. Boucher was a panelist on SVG TV's Viewpoint program on Sunday, along with President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, and Attorney at Law, Azita Banwell, discussing the High Court ruling and the next steps to be taken.
You could argue that government has a right to appeal. It is not just that you are appealing against a foreign entity. You are appealing to further keep your innocent public servants in stress and financial dilemma, pressuring them. And that cannot be right. It's morally wrong. So we have a duty as trade unions, and we don't act alone, as Robbie have said. We acted in concert with Teachers Union and the Police Welfare Association. We have a duty to act like the way trade unions act, and that is to take whatever industrial action is necessary to send a strong message that we cannot sit back and allow the government to continue on the path that it is continuing on in this particular matter. Even I am a lawyer, but remotely I say to myself, even if they want to appeal, the one simple fact, even if the issues with respect to the minister making laws, whatever, the one simple fact, and Azita mentioned it, the independence of the Public Service Commission, that one simple fact, that the commission just rubber stamp what the minister did, that is illegal. It ain't need no rocket science or no law to tell me that. I've not seen any laws within the public service regulation that is made by a minister. So it is wrong. So they err. The court, the time will be overturned. And that alone is strong enough to say the workers leave the job, because they mean that they were fired illegally. So regardless of what the government wants to do the right thing and let the people go back to work and pay them all of their benefits. We will try our utmost best to bring pressure to bear to make that happen, and we'll call on the entire country.
And President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, urged their members and the rest of the Vincentian public to show support in their fight against the government's attempt to go further with an appeal.
Encouraging, because this has a ripple effect, because you could imagine you have over 500 workers being affected, and if each worker has an average of 3 other dependents, that is 1,500. And those other persons may have another 2 or 3 persons. You see? So we are saying that we need to stop this issue about the appeal. It is not in the interest of the public. It makes no sense you use the taxpayers' money to punish the same people. That money could have been used to fix some of the schools which have problems with toilets, to deal with the shortage of teachers in the schools, you know. And there's so many issues affecting this society, of which the millions of dollars you're going to take to pay. And that is economic leakage coming from the public purse, you know. The state has to act in a much more responsible manner. So we have planned together tomorrow, by God's will, midday, we'll be picketing, and we also are planning a celebration, a service. Members of the unions and the Police Welfare Association, we have established a committee, because we can't leave God out of the picture. The very Constitution is based on the supremacy of God. You understand? And we have to stand together in order that we will achieve much more victory.
And a number of the workers who were affected by the vaccine mandate and other sanctions heeded a call for a peaceful protest action outside the administrative complex in capital Kingston today. They appealed to the government to accept the High Court ruling and reverse its decision to take the matter to the Court of Appeal.
For the appeal to stop now, because we know it's very hard and it's a wickedness to poor people. Because the thing about it is that it's the same poor people that have to be paying for these lawyers, for this appeal and so on. So we are calling on the power that be to stop the appeal.
Here to the war protesting who have been affected, we have kids, right? And for the teachers, the children, the quality teachers here, and the children lose this quality teaching, this quality instruction from the teachers. So in the long run, the future generation in which they so boast about, they stand to lose most from this kind of action taken by the government. It's really ridiculous.
Man feel good, man feel bad, man feel up, man feel down, man almost under the ground. But by the grace of God, man is still around, stand firm, strong in Babylon. I protesting because I see a lot of stupidness going on in this country. I've seen Vince on the ground. That's the reason why I come on the protest line. I go on the protest line already, now not the first time. I'm not going to come here now. But when we really consider, it don't make no sense to talk and not continue to show action. Protesting is showing the action.
I was elated because we have prayed time and time again that God would just work things out for us. And on the day that the judge read the verdict, we knew that he came through for us. The group of us there, I see teachers in the mix, I see nurses in the mix, I see regular public servants in the mix, I see private sector workers, I see members of my church here, my pastor was here, just Vincentians and a whole came out to see. I would want to think as well that the judge's ruling kind of brought a sense of ease to persons, hence the crowd that we have today.
I'm Mark Sardine. I'm an elder in St. Vincent, and I stand against violence and crime. This is a crime against our people. We will not stand and let you disobey the court order. No, that's wrong. Give the people and them what they deserve so we can have a better tomorrow. We don't have to fuss and fight. That is not what we're here for. We're here for justice. Justice for one and for all. Let's make tomorrow a brighter day. We don't have to fuss and fight.
Also on the picket line today was Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, and Member of Parliament for East Kingston, Fitzgerald Bramble.
I am determined to support the teachers, the unions, and the workers who were affected, but at the same time, I wish this were not necessary, that the government will do what is right and just and fair and moral, and send the people back to their jobs with all their benefits intact, in accordance with what the court has said. You know, people would rather be working than being here protesting against the government's vaccine mandate. But if that is what is required, then that is what will be done. And we have been, as a political party, we have supported the unions and the workers in their stance against the mandatory vaccination. And we continue to do so because we believe that it is the wrong policy that the government introduced. And now that the court has ruled, you would think they will say, okay, fine. Circumstances on the ground have changed. We are now in a different dispensation, so to speak. What is the benefit? What is the good in drawing this thing out indefinitely when it's creating so much hardship for people? Imagine the people who have been waiting and suffering for the last 15 months and thinking that now they're at the end of the road and they have to go through this again. So that's why we're here and I believe that the greater number of people who come and the people from all different walks of life and society who oppose this policy and send a message to the government that they will be forced to do what is right and just, and that is to put the people back in the jobs.
They are supporting Vincentian citizens who have been made to suffer because of a vaccine mandate. That's why I'm out here. And I cannot support a government who has been deemed to have acted illegally and unconstitutionally. And if the government had any sense of decency, they would go back to the people and seek a fresh mandate.
The main reason why we are protesting today is to ask the Prime Minister to rethink his decision of an appeal. We don't see the reason for an appeal. We are asking him to rethink his decision. That verdict handed down by that judge, if you read that verdict, it's unchallenged. I do not think that verdict can be turned around by anybody.
We do not want an appeal. Please, Mr. Prime Minister, the persons, the workers have shown that they do not want an appeal. They want to get back to their job. They have been suffering for so long, and they won the case. They need their job back.
It's definitely affect the way in which I can do all of the things that I need to do in my life, taking care of myself and my family. And I'm sure for many people who've been used to working for many years and trying to balance family life and the cost of living, it's a very difficult thing to be fired or to be released.
And on the API's morning SVG program, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said his government is satisfied with the advice received from distinguished lawyers and jurors that the trial judge's decision or judgment in the matter is wrong.
And this is a matter of great importance, and therefore the government, like any litigant before the courts, ought to exercise its rights to appeal. And the notice of appeal has been filed. Also an application to stay, to put a hold on the judgment until the determination of the appeal. That has also been filed. But I want us to put certain things in context, and first of all I want to reaffirm that we, the government, we are satisfied that the manner in which we handled the COVID pandemic, that we ramped up and scaled back in accordance with the circumstances, always to save lives and livelihoods, and we believe we did that. The facts would indicate that we did that. And we did so within the context of the law and the Constitution, that decisions which we took were reasonable and proportionate to the risks at hand, that we did what was reasonably required for the protection of public health, the interests of the public, in this case public health, and that what we did was reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. So we believe that our actions, the laws, the regulations passed, and the actions taken, that they were all constitutional. And so we disagree very much with the ruling of the trial judge.
And PM Gonsalves said he doesn't know when the application for the stay of execution on the judgment will be reviewed, but he is hoping it will be done soon, as the government's legal team is asking that a hold be put on the judgment until a determination is made by the Court of Appeal.
The difficulty in proceeding procedurally from a time standpoint, first of all, though the judge delivered her judgment on the morning of Monday the 13th. The written judgment is not available. As far as I'm aware, the written judgment is still not available. I'm talking the full judgment. But the order of the court was made available in a formal sense at 4:30 on Monday, 4:30 in the afternoon, or just after 4:30. That's what I've been advised. Tuesday was a holiday. The lawyers have to prepare the papers for the notice of appeal, and you have to prepare them within the context of what I've just stated in terms of the judgment itself. And then you have to prepare the documentation for the stay of the judgment. And lawyers, different lawyers had to be consulted because the team involves senior counsel Anthony Astafan, plus private lawyers here, and also at the AG's chambers, the Solicitor General, the Attorney General, and other lawyers. And you wouldn't have been able to get a hearing here in any case, because, or even in fact in the region, because all the judges were at a conference in Miami. I just want to lay out practical things. Persons may make comments, adverse comments on what I've just said in terms of what is available. But I'm not making an adverse comments. Judges.
The Prime Minister said when he hears the talk about the government is taking the people's money to appeal against the people, he sees it as a peculiar notion. Dr. Gonzalez said the oath that he took as Prime Minister is to look after the interests of the people, not just a section of the people, and he is satisfied that his government dealt with the pandemic and action to save lives in a balanced way.
You do it in a balanced way. The judge tell you, no, you weren't balanced. You were disproportionate. What do I do then? As a government, I let the pandemic rip and kill as many people as possible, destroy livelihoods more extensively than some livelihoods were destroyed. That's what I must do? Absolutely not. So my conscience is clear that we did what is right, what is proper under the law, the Constitution. And we cannot allow the judgment of just one person, one judge, to determine what we as a civilized people on an ongoing basis can do. So let's be clear on that. The second thing is this. So that's fundamental. In terms of appealing and certainly getting the stay, you pay people for 15 months' salary. You pay them now, that. And it turns out you win the appeal. You think the government is going to get back the money? They say, well, it's the people who receive the money. It's not the people who receive the money. It's a section of the people. You know the number of calls I'm getting, text messages, teachers, frontline workers who took the vaccine, 90-something% of them, saying, well, these people want payment. They want damages. So what about us who took the vaccine, went out there, braved everything? What about us? That's a good question. And the opposition leader calls those who stayed away, call them heroes. But the real heroes are those who took the vaccine and went to work for the good of the community. They took a personal responsibility, and they did so in collective solidarity. You notice I'm very clear on all of these.
The Prime Minister said 4 days after the ruling was handed down on March 13, 2023, the Public Service Commission considered the application of 4 custom officers who applied to come back to work, which were approved. He also maintained that for workers who were deemed to have abandoned their jobs, all they need to do is to indicate that they want to come back, and that position still stands.
Some of the challenges. There are 15 teachers who, before the judgment, I was advised about that on the day of the judgment, had applied to come back. But those 15 teachers took such a long time that those positions were filled.
They had to be filled.
They had to be filled. So what is going to happen is that you'll have to go to Parliament with a supplementary estimate for the creation of those additional posts. or do it by a special warrant and make the arrangements for the filling. It can't be done the next morning. So there are some real practical issues. That is why I have no problem with the teachers and anybody else who are affected by the ruling turn up on Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and mark the name present. So listen, we turn up to work, you know. You tell us must go and see the permanent secretary. They went to the permanent secretary. The permanent secretary indicate what is happening. Those persons are not losing. If it turns out that the judgment stands, they're not losing anything. The government is not in contempt of any court. The government is making all the arrangements with you. You mark yourself present, fine, you're present. And if the judgment were to stay, you continue to get your money. You see what I mean?
The Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel celebrated its 32nd anniversary on Sunday, March 19, 2023, with a Thanksgiving service held under the theme, Be Thankful, Praise the Lord as we rise higher and embracing the goodness of God through trials by faith. Speaking on the catastrophic volcanic eruption in April 2021, the Reverend Verrill Blake vocalized that in the spiritual realm, Vincentians have not yet risen from the ashes, as it is evident that persons are more fixated on entertainment and are lovers of pleasure, rather lovers of God.
We have not learned righteousness. We have not desired the Lord with our soul. We have not sought the Lord with our spirit. If anything, it is the opposite. What is evident is that spiritually, the intentions from the most part are still buried in the ash of worldly pursuit and sinful desires. Take a census within our community as to how many churches or places of worship have been established since persons returned to their towns and villages after the volcano. Take a census, and it will be surprising the high ratio of entertainment establishment, dance hall, and pubs, and discos that have arisen over against places of worship. Places of worship. The old habit still lingers with us. The biblical spectrum still stands, and it relates to our people that men and women in St. Vincent and Grenadines are lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. And that Vincentians still love darkness rather than light, because our deeds are still one.
Reverend Blake also told the gathering that it is because of God's grace and mercies that no lives were lost as a result of the volcanic eruption.
Let me say this though. It is extremely important for me as a minister of the gospel to give my perspective. Despite such terrible destruction and devastation caused by the worst eruption of that monster volcano, there was no loss of life. That perhaps more than the report on the resilience of our people must be proclaimed. It is certainly not our power of endurance and fortitude that has kept us alive. The fact is that there was absolutely no house, folks, there was absolutely no house or residence in the nation that was not affected by ashfall. None. Everywhere in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, everywhere you go, there was ashfall on every house. Folks, if this ash was poisonous, even residents, especially the mainland, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados, and St. Lucia, everyone would have died if this ash was spoiled. So, the credit must therefore not be given to the resilience of our people, but to the grace and mercy of God.
Area Representative and Deputy Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel, who attended the Thanksgiving service, congratulated the Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel on its 32nd anniversary and its years of service to the community.
That is how it is sometimes. When we stray, sometimes we stray until we are informed. But we need to pray for all of us. When we stray, even when we fall, pray for all of us. And I come to the point where that I thank the Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel for being a light on the mountain top for this community of Sandy. 22 years of mountain have been all along, standing side by side with the Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel over the years. We all have to commune and fellowship with one another, because the world today, Christianity is on the CBN tab, and I discussed that another time. Let me wish the Sandy Bay Gospel Chapel another great year. Congratulations. Keep on doing what you're doing. Sandy Bay will continue to be proud.
Despite the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on SVG's tourism sector, one of the components of tourism that held its numbers was yachting. And at a news conference today, Minister of Tourism and Culture, Carlos James, said coming out of post-COVID, the island has recorded an increase in yacht arrivals.
Look at January numbers of 2023. We are up 84% from the previous year in terms of our yachting arrivals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're moving numbers from, in January alone of 2022, just over 4,000 to over 7,000 yachts within that 1 month of 2023, which is showing that we're just at the peak of moving out of our COVID downturn in terms of our numbers where tourism is concerned, and yachting is leading the charge where that's concerned. We're still not yet out of the woods, because when you look at the comparative numbers for 2019, we're just below by 11% of those numbers, which shows that there's also room for improvement, and the numbers will only get better as we go into a post-COVID period in terms of yachting and marine tourism.
Minister James noted that Bequia leads the numbers in terms of clearance for most of the yachts anchored in SVG's waters.
Over 4,000 yachts cleared in Bequia, and just under 2,000 on Union Island in terms of yacht arrivals and clearance within two of the larger numbers within the period of January of 2023. When you look at the quarters 2022 and 2021, and of course because of COVID, as I indicated, we are seeing a spike of a 96.7% spike in our arrivals in terms of yachting as well. We're moving from the Q4 of 2021, just over 5,755 arrivals, to the Q4 of 2022, just over 11,321 yachts coming into the jurisdiction, which showed that our numbers are really, they have held during COVID, and in fact in yachting, we have seen an increase and a return to our post-COVID numbers where yachting is concerned.
In terms of air traffic, Minister James said with the daily flights from Miami, which started on March 1st, they are seeing steady traffic with inbound and outbound passengers.
Just short of 80%, 77% of outbound movement on those daily flights. And inbound, we have roughly about 74% capacity. It's one of the planes which would have a capacity of 128 persons. On the first day, we had roughly inbound 119 persons coming to the destination. That's on the first day of the daily flights. The outbound had roughly a full seat. And just yesterday, we had over 115 people leaving on the flight to Miami as in outbound, and just under 100 coming in on yesterday's flight alone. So it really means that those daily flights are actually, the seats are, there's a demand for the seat, and we do have the capacity in terms of ensuring that we have a greater level of traffic coming to the destination. And just about 74 out inbound, 77 outbound is a considerable number in terms of the performance of those flights. With short of the first month, because we're not yet at the end of the month, but short of the first month of the operation of those daily flights. And I think that's really something that is commendable. All of the stakeholders involved, American Airlines, the Tourism Authority, and the Ministry of Tourism, have really worked to ensure that we continue to have a lot more traffic coming to the destination.
According to Minister James, by this summer, they are also hoping to see additional flights added to the JFK Argyle route via Caribbean Airlines.